Hello, good evening, Steph. How's it going, mate? How's it going?
Good, good. I got like this background is like I feel like I'm blurred. Only my face is the only thing that's unique to it. It's like my
Yeah, you blended in. You
yeah.
blended in.
The
I have
whole
to say,
yeah.
sorry, we're bringing this to you slightly
Mm.
later. Steph and I were festive boozing on the weekend, and so it did not have the
We
energy.
we put the pub in pub chat certainly. Yeah.
Yes, we really did. We should have actually recorded that. I know we
Oh
weren't together, but it would have been a bit of a laugh.
yeah, certainly. Yeah. Apologies for getting the content late to yourself, guys. But nonetheless,
Mm.
regardless if this came out to yourselves yesterday or the day before. Same talking point though, because I think it's you know January's looming, isn't it? And it's
It
typically a
is, yeah.
month where you can make those active changes. And we've spoken in length, haven't we, the last couple of months, just on what we think we need position wise to address in January.
Hmm.
Um, and if things are starting to mount up now, isn't it, with links and almost a signing locked in the attacking department. So I think let's talk about that today, isn't it? Like on what we think
Yeah.
and we could. A lot of fans are obviously discontent with the short term strategy, and
Mm.
let's unpick that a little bit. Is that the right thing to do, knowing that
Yeah.
there are targets that we clearly are after in the summer, June onwards? And yeah, let's start with the attacking department. We're looking like we're very close to signing
I think
Niclas.
it's done. It's done,
Oh,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
with a loan, well,
Loan,
free loan.
loan, free
Yeah,
loan, which is great. We
yeah,
just pay his salary, and then an option, just an option to buy, I think, 13 million euros, which I
yeah,
doubt we exercise unless he's a
yeah.
success, like massive success.
The
So
salary
it's
is
a
quite
risk
low
free.
as well. I think it's like
Yeah, a couple of
1.3
million,
mil.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
So
less.
I mean, look, this does scream out a stopgap, isn't it? And it's clear, unless the reality is, Luka Jovic, Tammy Abraham had
Mm,
decent enough seasons last year where you could have argued that they would have been bought out right at the end of it or would have stayed, but they didn't. So the reality is we're probably not going to keep him beyond the summer. But I mean, how does this one make you feel? This almost, all but done signing in the attacking department, knowing that everything connected to it.
so for me, there's a strategy piece that goes before this, right? That we have to sit and think, whether we like to admit it or not, and whether we land on obviously half the season. Pretty much all of our summer signings, bar Rabiot, I would argue, and Modric, but Modric was a prerequisite, really,
Yeah.
have been failures. When I say failures, I think that's probably harsh. Obviously,
Mm.
Jashari, jury's out, but he was spent a lot of money and fine, and he'll come good. So there's the piece for me. It's like, it's great that we've got an idea straight away. It's great that we're trying to solve the problem, but again, it's a bit of like, they're just kind of trying to fix a problem that they shouldn't have really had in this summer if they invested properly or in the
Mm.
right profiles that we wanted. For example, the biggest story for me that's come out in the last couple of days is Allegri being wanting Keane. Whether that's true or not, we don't
Yeah.
know, but we could have easily got Keane out of Fiorentina for, okay, not double, not the same price, but not far off the price we paid in Nkunku and Santi for. 100%, it would have been 20 or 30 million cheaper than those combined. And
Mm.
yet we're sitting here now. Apparently, Allegri wanted him, but instead we've got a player in Santi who has failed. He is now out until April. And
Mm.
Nkunku, who apparently, God knows, I don't know if you've been following that, you or anyone listening, that apparently you've got it was Allegri who wanted Nkunku. Then Allegri didn't want Nkunku. Then it was Tare who didn't want Nkunku. And it was Fellaini. Now it's apparently Fellaini who didn't want Nkunku. And it was Tare who wanted him. Mess.
Yeah.
So going back to the original question you asked, I'm happy in the sense that they're like, okay, we need someone, obviously.
Mm.
But for me, it's just, again, like a failure of, if we'd bought the right players in the summer, would we really need to be going out and getting a Niclas Füllkrug, who has been a failure, let's face
Mm.
it, since his Dortmund days, even if it is on paper like a risk-free deal? You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not so on the player
Mm.
himself, I'll support him if he comes, obviously. I'm not against him, mainly because I don't know who else we could get who would
Yeah.
be happy effectively on the bench, because
Yeah.
there's no guarantee he'll be starting every game, and who could potentially score goals, but ultimately is cheap. I don't know if there's anyone else we could have gotten. So I'm not actually annoyed that he's coming,
Mm.
but he's not who I want. That's kind of how I'm with it. I don't know what your
Mm.
thoughts are.
No, yeah, I think there's a few things there. So the Nkunku situation as well is interesting in January. There's even rumors that should Saudi come in with big money,
Yeah.
we spoke about it during the Jimenez video, and I was saying, do you think Nkunku goes in January as early as then? And we were both kind of like, no, but like the reality is he's not hit the ground running, has he? So if we make profit on the player, then it could be a situation where he goes, isn't it? And then I think, and then also I think with Füllkrug, completely agree, because it is a strategy piece that we got completely wrong in the summer. And I think this is the issue, isn't it? I don't think people so much are like, obviously we should all be backing the player, any player coming into this club and wanting them to do the best, but it doesn't, there's only so much excitement you can get when you keep getting this signing wrong. And it's clear as day, it's not a long-term signing. I can guarantee you, I will put a good amount of money on the fact that he will not be bought outright at the end, in summer, because we will pivot to something else. It is a short-term strategy piece, whichever way you flip it, it is required. Who else could we get this late in? And you brought up Moise Kean, but I'd also make a statement. I like Moise Kean as a player, yeah, but is that equally an obvious signing to make? He is very high on the most big chance misses in game. He's up there with fucking Santi Jimenez, basically. And that would present for me a risk on a player who's of course a very, very bad situation at Fiorentina right now. But Füllkrug's played all of a couple games in his year and a half, or I think plus at West Ham. So it is night and day on comparing the two. But I think the point being is that right now, as we stand going into January, knowing we need immediate depth in the attack, who could we go out straight away and get? And he's obviously one of few names that we could, and we have. So that's the challenge that obviously management have and had, and they've gone for him. And I'm sure there's names that other people could bring up, and and there's names that we could also bring up, which makes us more of a serious club. Consistently linked with Lewandowski, consistently linked with Dusan Vlahovic. But the reality is the negotiation behind those deals would take quite a long time, let alone if it would even happen. And we could find ourselves from the majority of January being with minimal strikers up front, as we have been in the last, month and a half. So, I think just kind of like, what's my opinion on the deal? I'm happy a body's in. Now, is it the body I want? Of course, it's not the body I want, but we've seen too many games now recently where we've had nothing off the bench in attack. And, I mentioned it in the last one, like I compared it to like Mario Mandzukic coming quite late in his career. It would help. It does help in a sense. Of course, it's not going to be fucking great. And I'm hoping he surprises a lot of us, but just having someone to come on quite late in the game and perhaps kill off the game with a bit of hold up play and give the likes of Pulisic and Leao and Nkunku a rest is going to have some form of importance. It's just a question of how much more can he add from that.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. Like, I'm not against the player coming in the sense of it's a striker, it's a player up front. The individual, if you're talking about Füllkrug as a profile, which we'll probably touch on a little bit in a moment, not better pleased, like whatever. But I think for me, this is just going back to summer this year and last year. You just think, God, it's classic Milan. Like, you buy shit, you buy twice, and it's just what we've done. Had we just properly invested, let's say it was Vlahovic, right? We probably wouldn't have now he could get injured, whatever, fine, but we probably needed to have gone down the Santi Jimenez route. We probably wouldn't have needed to go down the Nkunku route. And it's just like we're constantly doing these things to try and save money or whatever it might be. That Füllkrug for me at this stage is just another body, right? He's just another player. But could be good. What do you think about the player as like his characteristics? I think we should touch on that a little bit. He's not the exciting profile we want, but do you think he gets 5 or 10 goals between now and May?
No, probably not. Like I said, I see him as a player that comes in. He only really is going to play, in my opinion, start if we are bare bones, in attack, and all the other, we're going to have to put someone up front with Leao or Pulisic. I think he's option that comes off the bench. The last 20 or so minutes, if